everybody, welcome to the Great Room.
Thanks for having me.
I just wanted to say hi to all my Facebook friends out there.
Are they ready for us?
Welcome to the Great Room. My guest today is Zach Galifianakis.
Hello, everyone. Do I talk into this?
Yeah, that'll work.
I just wanted to say hi to all my Facebook friends out there. Kilroy Steve. Not Amanda Knox is one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Have 6 friends.
6 friends.
6 friends on Facebook.
That's something to brag about.
And I know them all very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you, Andrew?
That's terrific. I'm good. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for asking me to play the 2 keys of piano that I know.
The two phases of sadness. That
Yeah, 2 phases of sadness. I have 3.
You have 3.
But I just gave you 2 right there.
Okay.
So we kind of spent most of my musical expertise right there.
Right. Well, I actually saw you a couple weeks ago at Largo, at the Little Room. It was you and Sarah Silverman. And I've seen a lot of your stand-up over the years at Largo.
My apologies.
It's all right. And yeah, you were back to playing the piano while giving your one-liners. And I was listening to the piano playing. I was like, that's really beautiful.
Well, I don't know how to. It's as I was telling you earlier. Only sadness can come out of my body with music. Sadness comes out of my body, and then sometimes I sweat feta cheese. I'm limited with the piano stuff. But I mean, I don't know how to read. I took 1 lesson once, one day.
Yeah.
My best friend's mother was the piano teacher, and they were all Marine. They were a Marine family, and they couldn't believe that I was taking piano from their mom.
Right.
They thought I was a wimp, and I quit. And I wish I'd never quit piano.
Yeah.
I wish I'd quit stand-up. But I hadn't played the piano on stage in a number of years, so that was the first time I'd done it in a while, probably.
Yeah, and we've done shows together at Largo a few times.
Do you remember that time I cried? Do you remember? Were you?
I do.
So
What was going on?
Okay, I'll tell you. This is what happened. I was being honest.
Yeah.
And I started talking about the fact that because Andrew I used to be your landlord, so to speak. Andrew rented my place. And you had told me that you had written some music in the house which was my house. And I was explaining this to the audience, and for some reason, sleep deprivation, whatever it is, it choked me up while I was saying it. And my voice started getting crackly. The audience laughed at me because they thought I was doing a bit, but it was real. Like, I really was emotionally, your music has always made me cry.
Well, that kind of gets
As
at
my
what
stand-up has.
What I wanted to talk about today was like, it's an interesting dynamic. Like backstage at Largo, it's a mix of comedians and musicians, and it's a very interesting dynamic that happens because, like, when I follow a comedian that's telling jokes about pizza or dick pics or something, and then I come out and the audience, the energy in the room shifts dramatically. It's like, okay, here comes the singer-songwriter. I've just been laughing about pizza delivery, and here comes a songwriter who's going to be utterly sincere. And then
It's a weird mix.
It is a weird mix. But then lately, I don't know if it's lately or if it's always been the case, but I've seen more and more comedians with a real, like, more like heart in what they're doing and a more sincerity. But I think that's part of the playing with the expectations, which is kind of what comedy is messing with sincerity versus.
Yeah, I think comedy has, not mine necessarily, but I think you're right. I think a lot of comics kind of are really talking from the heart these days. So it is
Yeah.
musical in a weird way that way. But I always have found in my experience of doing shows at Largo, comedians want to be musicians really badly, and musicians want to be comedians really badly.
It's true.
I'm not saying that
and
about
they
you
can make
necessarily.
each other. If someone's having an insecure night, that can really kind of get awkward backstage.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like someone will. This has happened several times backstage where I think it was last time it was Kevin Smith walked by me and he was like, and I was just playing. He's like, God, I wish I could. If I could do that.
Yeah, if I could do what you do, I wouldn't have to write my dumb diarrhea jokes in a notebook. I'm 47, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? I feel like the grass is greener on the other side
Sure.
with musicians and comedians. There's a certain... comedians are real big music fans, and I think the opposite of that is true.
Yeah, I feel more inspired playing shows with comedians than watching another band setting up their gear on stage to do a 3-band night. You know,
Do you find it hard to if a comic sets? Is that shift hard that you were talking about?
well,
Have you ever? In other words, if people didn't maybe early on know who you were, and you started singing a song where there's maybe they're thinking they should laugh,
Yeah.
not at your music, but
Right.
because the stage had been set.
It's kind of like when you hang around someone with a thick, like a heavy British accent or something, and you start
Yeah,
picking up the brogue a little
Yeah.
bit, and
I
you
did
feel
that
like,
after hanging out with Madonna.
you feel kind of like a chump.
Yeah,
Because you're like, who am I kidding? I've just been hanging out but your ear is kind of attuned to that sort of thing, and you start doing it. The same thing when I follow you or another comedian, I think, I'm going to start telling a story. I started having the cadence of a comedian and the timing of a comedian. I'm like, who am I kidding? You know? But I've always felt like, that's where the title for my last record, Are You Serious, came from, among other places. But I remember watching one of your early specials, the Purple Onion one, where you were, maybe it was easier to do that early on when you weren't as well known, but you were, when you fly off the handle and you start berating someone in the audience and
for no reason.
yeah, 1 minute you're deadpan, next minute you're just off the handle, and this woman says, "Is he serious?" Like, so, and in a way you're like kind of holding the audience hostage emotionally, but that energy that comes out of you, that kind of makes everyone go like, oh shit, is he
Psychotic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that this segues to another idea, but is that, your transition from stand-up to dramatic actor, like, is that energy, is it similar to what you're doing when you're...
The getting angry quick thing
Yeah.
is, that's just how my dad used to be.
Okay.
And it's just that Mediterranean temper
Right.
that I'm kind of making fun of, where my dad is incredibly loving, and he is all the time incredibly loving. But as kids, if we disrespect something like enough, we would see this other side of him,
Right.
and it scared us. But that it's kind of that to turn off, to switch emotions, not to be too, but it's to me it's just element of surprise is
Yeah.
one of the tricks, if you will, in comedy. And if you're doing deadpan jokes or whatever, and then you have an explosion of anger, it's also therapy for me, because
Right.
that's the only place I really get to yell is on stage. I'm pretty
Right.
quiet off.
It looks cathartic.
It is. There's something real in it, because it happens so easily. It just is about nonsense.
Right.
If it were actually political and helpful, then I'm complaining about nothing. The things that shouldn't be complained
Yeah.
about. So it's also the juxtaposition that I
And
think
you're taking
is fun.
yourself incredibly seriously.
And to take yourself incredibly seriously is funny,
Yeah.
which is everybody does in this town, I think.
Right.
Yeah. This town meaning Facebook. But yeah, that's. So are you telling me that you named your album because you heard that on my DVD? No.
Not exactly. But it was one of many contributing
I was hoping that was going to be up.
It goes back further than that, but I was thinking about that that dynamic. I was thinking about shows we'd done together at Largo when the expectation that songwriter is going to bare their soul and really just bleed on stage for you. And I've kind of been always pushing against that expectation. And then I finally wrote a record where it was kind of like that, and so I was making fun of myself by calling it that.
Do you know, it's a bit frustrating to me in a weird way as a music lover. I feel, if we're talking about music and comedy for a second, I find the comedians have become the new folk singers.
Right.
They're the political ones now. You don't see it so much in music. At least in what I listen to, which is Hot 97. You don't hear protest. You don't hear it. I mean, maybe Blink 182's doing something. No, I don't know. Maybe somebody's doing something.
Right.
But comedy has definitely taken that baton, I think.
Well, narrative is the best way to deal with that stuff. You know? Like allegory and subtle metaphors and everything is just to fight a populist movement, you need populist songs, and those are very challenging to write in this day and age. I mean,
what, Billy Bragg type stuff, you mean?
Yeah, or Woody Guthrie. I mean, is the classic example. We were talking about him earlier. I think because of the irreverent setup for comedy, it's maybe, I don't know.
Well, we're also living in vulgar times, and I think it's allowing you to be vulgar on stage. I'm not saying comedians are fighting it with vulgarity, but I think comedy is the best bullshit radar.
Right.
And that's the biggest fight. Patton Oswalt told me that he used to get kicked off stage for questioning the Iraq War. Wow. Just booed off stage. Yeah, so he was one of the first. I mean, obviously they've always been around, but Janine Garofalo and Patton, those guys were challenging. There was the first early. Oh, there's somebody actually on stage resisting a bit to things, because musically, I don't know, it's kind of not there.
I mean, music is so fragmented, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm saying,
no, but that's part of it, isn't it?
It is. There's who is writing a song that's getting all America singing the same tune,
right.
Which is, I wake up every morning thinking maybe today I'll write that song.
That would be the hardest song to write.
It's so hard.
A pop song is, I would imagine a pop song is hard to
write. One that's useful and that's simple and can get people singing it, and then it resonates every time you hear it. I'm trying.
What would the theme be, even in this kind of clouded thematic? I mean, community. What would thematically are you thinking in themes, or are you thinking musically first when you think that way?
No, just lyrically themes. I've just taken older songs like Tables and Chairs we did last week with Lumineers, and I've written lyrics, and the lyrics have to be a lot less cheeky than they tend to be for me. Not cheeky, but clever.
Yeah.
They have to be populist, but in a way you can live with yourself with it. Not trite. It's a tall order.
As if maybe I'm trying to think of a figure out there that's not a musician that would write a song. If I bet Bernie Sanders would be able to help with that kind of thing. I feel like his populist movement is the one to go against the other populist movement.
Right.
We'll be right back.
We're going to have a songwriting sesh with Bernie, and then...
he used to write for Hall & Oates, Bernie Sanders. I think I'm right about that. Hall & Oates.
You know what?
A great name for a cereal delivery company. That joke never gets old or funny.
This show is a little bit Between Two Ferns, and that there is no audience laughing at your jokes.
No, yeah.
Between Two Bookcases.
Yeah, the Between Two Ferns has a lot more. There's just a lot of dead space in there.
Yeah.
This feels much more welcoming. And I'm the host of the show. I mean, I don't even feel welcome at my own show.
Yeah. So, Baskets, you called me up a couple years ago and explained the premise of Baskets, your show on FX, and asked me to do the music for it. Mm-hmm. And you explained the premise, and it's one of those things you can pitch in 2 sentences, and you totally get the picture, mm-hmm. which is, I mean, you can almost invent the show in your mind. It just kind of writes itself in a way. The French trained clown moves back to Bakersfield, works at a rodeo, and but I was really excited when you asked me to do the music to it, and I immediately thought title credits, because that's the holy grail for me, would be to write like the title credits to 6 Feet Under or something. Mm-hmm. So, and then, okay, so here's the whole story that you don't know about.
I don't know the story?
The whole story.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay,
I think I led you to believe that I was writing the whole thing
right.
for you.
Right.
And I actually wrote the melody a couple of years earlier when I was submitting music to Quentin Tarantino for Django.
Oh, sorry. Didn't know you were working with Quentin.
But I didn't. I didn't get the job.
Okay, good.
And I really loved the melody, and it was this sort of spaghetti western, mm-hmm. highbrow, lowbrow thing. And I thought, and then you explained the premise to me, and I was like, oh, that's great. You were mostly talking about Applebee's.
I was talking about a lot of we were trying in Baskets to make it look like how every town in America is kind of turned into the same thing.
Exactly.
Applebee's, Home Depot, whatever other dumb store. And that was part of the climate that I feel got a little bit lost in actually that's our fault. But you think it's there? I don't know.
I totally think.
Okay,
I mean, Costco's kind of still in the show.
Yeah.
On the show.
I don't know if they're going to allow us to.
Costco is a character. Well, there's a lot of corporate.
Yeah.
Even the subtle one, like the DJ Twins thing is brought to you. It was sponsored by Dasani.
It's the corporate creeping into everything.
Yeah. And so I this was early on before I think you'd written much of anything, and you just explained it to me, and I just pictured you in clown makeup walking on some strip where there's no sidewalk between an Applebee's, and everything's beige.
Yeah.
And there's parking lots, and so, and then it's funny how songwriting works like this. Like a bunch of different things are pointing to the same thing. So I had an experience at a Costco.
Congratulations.
This is before. Thank you. This is before I knew Costco was going to be part of the show, and because I have a problem. Like every time I go into a place with a massive concrete floor, I feel like my essence, my soul is being sucked down through my feet, and I picture it getting like seeping down into the substructure and all the pylons and down into the limestone and being fossilized down there. So I wrote this little short story about that, and that became the basis for Saints Preservus. And in the end, it turned out there was no title credit to your show.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this on my record. But anyway, so it was fun though. All I need is someone like to say, I need this song and it needs to do this, and then I can write it in a day. And then my own songs take years to write, but I thought I'd do a little bit of it.
Please.
For you. So that bit is actually in the first season of Baskets, sort of the coyote, I call it the coyote theme. But it's interesting that all those spaghetti western, the Ennio Morricone stuff, it really is. If you ever listen to Italian folk music, you hear it in Greek music too. A lot of Mediterranean music.
Yeah.
That kind of.
You mean the stuff that kind of crept up from Africa?
Maybe it did, but it's kind of this. It mixes with opera and folk music and that recitative where you like just play a chord until you're ready to move to the next chord, and it's really dramatic, and you like that stuff that's like. And it totally makes sense that it was, the music in these Italian westerns.
Well, there's also something about whistling when I was thinking of I think right away I knew that because of it was where it was set in California in Bakersfield. There's something about whistling in the West that I don't know, maybe Hollywood invented that, but they seem to, and also the melancholy of the show.
The melancholy, and then the
helps.
Grandness of the West.
There's gold in the
sky.
hills.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then it lyrically it gets into this. I want. How does it go? So you got bum. Bum 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 bum. Once was found, but now I'm lost. I could be anywhere where the strip malls are beige and the asphalt is hot. Bring me your poor and your trembling masses. Bring them here to shelter in your substructure parking lot. So it's fun to kind of set up the environment in the song, because I was just picturing the beige strip malls and.
And the show's very beige. It's very beige. I think it's. I think we're the beigest show on television.
Even that explanation of the premise and everything, and knowing you, I wasn't quite prepared for how heavy the show was going to be.
Oh.
I knew that Baskets was going to be. Struggling, but and then it gets into this this line "Bury Me Standing," which is I think from a Native American folk story, but this idea of like being buried standing. I'm a stranger in a land that's anything but strange. Bury me standing. Whoa, bury me deep. Beneath the pylons, I'm groping in the dark. My arms stretched out before me. Saints preserve us beneath the cracks and fishes. Among the fossil fishes, our souls to keep.
When was that one written?
This was written like 2 or 3. I don't know. Whenever you called me about doing I wrote it right away.
You wrote it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. 2 years ago. Time flies.
Yeah, 2 years.
Is the Earth spinning faster? Is that what? I mean.
It must be.
Are you the? I mean, everybody says this is flying by.
Mm-hmm.
The music that you did for the show, we were very disappointed. No, it was so. It was as if I could write anything that didn't have the theme of testicles in it. If I could write music like that, that's how I would have. It's spot on. Did you get a trophy for it or anything?
A lot of glory, for sure, yeah. No, I did a music library of a bunch of cues based on the script.
That's right.
And then they used those cues, and then the staff composer, Josh Mosher is his name?
Yes.
He's done a great job of like taking over and
Yeah, I was confused about how that happened, because so it went from first season to second season.
Yeah.
That he's taking your.
They can still use my library as long as they want.
Got it.
But I mean, I think the music has been really outstanding, and it's very prevalent throughout.
They do a good job. I mean, everybody on that show does.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you gave them your idea, and you wrote. Did you write the pilot episode then?
Yeah. I mean, so the show was going to be a behind the scenes of Between Two Ferns. That was my original, because I wanted to play that kind of angry for no reason guy. But then I just thought, who cares about Between Two Ferns behind the scenes? And I actually got talked out of it by the director.
Right.
I think Jonathan Kreisel told me that no one cares. And then I wrote it. I was sitting around and I thought, rodeo clown, pompous, rodeo clown, pompous. Why is that?
Right.
That again, it's just juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And that he was French trained. I don't know who came up with that. If I didn't come up with that, I can't remember. But and then the themes of what you just sang about, which the landscape changing, and I'm 47, so I'm from a small town, really kind of beautiful, and then the chain stores kind of took it over, and it's not as nice as it used to be.
Right.
And it's because of that corporate takeover, not to sound too lefty or anything, but those towns they get huge tax credits to those companies. So anyway, it bothered me, and I wanted to kind of make that the backdrop of the show, because I didn't think anybody was pointing that out.
Right.
And also, if it's new, if it hasn't really been, humorized, it's easier to do. Meaning, I don't think people really. Baskets is a weird show, and it's not for everybody, but it makes it easier because it's so specific. Right. In a weird way.
Yeah, I was thinking about that "I could be anywhere" line. I once was found, but now I'm lost. Yeah. And from years of touring, being on the road, it's very, Cracker Barrels. Yeah. Did you know
everything in the Cracker Barrel, the American themed Cracker Barrel, is made in China? Their biscuits are made in China. I'm just kidding.
Those little triangle games with the
everything from that American theme is it's weird.
All the tchotchkes, everything, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. The American flags. Mm-hmm. There's green beans. So I mean, touring as a comic, you kind of notice these things, and it's just landscape is changing. It can change back.
Do you remember though, as a kid in North Carolina? Because I remember taking family vacations through the Smoky Mountains down to Florida, and we'd stop at privately owned places that were like Cracker Barrels. That was a template for it. They had really thick, salty bacon. Yeah. And they had those little triangle things with the golf pegs in them. Right.
Those were locally owned, and that's what restaurants were.
And someone just took that and ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was really fun doing the music. I actually got Blake Mills played guitar on it, and my old drummer Kevin, and a lot of melodies came out of it that I don't think are even in Baskets, but there's one that I think is going to become. See, it's tricky for me to write music for TV and movies sometimes, because I think I'm not precious, but I do get attached to what I write, So it's sometimes I feel like I'm cutting off a limb and handing it.
I know.
Or I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to hang on to this. I could write a great song based on this melody. And there's this one that I wrote when I was working on it that's goes like this. Let's see.
Oh, you haven't written the lyrics yet?
No. Got any ideas?
Do you ever write songs about inanimate objects? Just like about an extension cord, or just something that no one's written a song about.
No, I haven't. I mean, molecules, but those.
But there's stuff.
Usually, there's some
Message.
animation involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know if I come up with any.
Okay.
That's a tough one to do, I would imagine.
That melody?
Yeah.
I don't know. I take that melody and I just speak nonsense, things that are in the room. It's a little bit like, just like improv.
Huh.
Just grasping at things, the right vowels, and then over time things start to stick, and then next thing you know, you've got a song. But it takes a long time.
Huh. Is that a usual approach?
I don't know, but I think it is more than people might even admit, because
Right.
I think listeners want to believe that it was like all written in this torrent of
Yeah, emotion.
emotion,
And it just all came out.
total conviction, and it's not. I don't know if it would be good for the songwriter's image to admit that it was just
at a coffee bean at the drive-thru.
exactly.
I came up with there's a documentary. I don't want to say anything about it, but there's a documentary about a band, and the way I saw them write music, I'm hoping I don't want to say it on this, but it was so serious, but I laughed at the whole thing. And I don't know if you were supposed to laugh at it. It was, I'll tell you later, because I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah.
I think I know.
Super serious band.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You've seen it?
No, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh, God.
But why did you? Why?
I can't make fun of it.
Okay.
We're live. I can't do it. I'll do it.
All right.
I'll do it later.
All right. But yeah, with that melody, I might just think, I'm setting up. I don't know. Something in the driveway. This could be completely mundane.
Right.
And then I've got, now I know what kind of words work. And then I'll substitute them. It's not always the way it works, but.
But I don't know how to ask this question. Is it sometimes math because you have only so many syllables that do you ever do it that way? Now I do sound like the thing I'm making fun of.
No. Is it math? I
Meaning-
mean, doing lyrics is more like a crossword puzzle. Everything else is a little more nebulous and mysterious. But once you get down to the words, you've got only a finite number of. Well, you've got a lot of options, but I like rhyme because it forces me to make a decision.
Huh.
You know.
You should make that rhyme.
That what I just said?
Yeah. It would have more of a. But yeah, that's really cool. So it's, huh.
Yeah.
So do you rhyme more often than you do not?
I do. Some writers say, I don't want to get away from rhyme. It's pinning me down, but I actually kind of like something to kind of root me in, yeah. I mean, I try to break out of very obvious rhyme schemes, but,
Yeah.
you know.
That's my favorite. One of my favorite Simpsons line is the Homer hits a home run, and his friends are chanting, and they rhyme Homer with Homer because it was a home run. And he goes, he acknowledges that they do it, and he's proud of them. Way to rhyme Homer with Homer.
Yeah.
Do you don't sit down every day? I mean, the writing stuff, does it come, you don't go, okay, it's 8, I have to write.
No. I do envy like novelists that have their office hours and they write from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon or something.
I know, I'd like to have an office to go to, briefcase, turn a key, shut the door, lock the door.
Yeah.
stare at the wall for 8 hours like I do at home.
I think I usually write alone, but I think that's what songwriting collaboration is all about, is just shaming each other into finally writing something.
Huh.
Like, I did it once with Dan Wilson, who I had on the show, and we just kind of stood opposite each other and was like, we're not leaving this room until we write something. So it's kind of like, sometimes I'm like, I wish someone would lock me in a room and stand outside the room with a gun and say, don't come out until you write something. Because then I would write a lot more.
I have my gun in the car. It's a 410. It's not very powerful.
Well,
We just have it for the squirrels. Do you have a squirrel problem? I think to have the.
oh, what I was going to ask you about the writing of the show, though,
Yeah.
is the thing that perplexes me about these shows, these episodic shows, and like, how do you create a show, create the premise of it? Yes, you wrote the pilot, but then I see that there's almost a different writer on every episode, right?
Yeah. So we have really good writers.
Do they work together, or are they just completely?
Yeah, there's a writer's room. So there's several people, 3 to 4 kind of.
But why is there just one person's name on each?
Because they get assigned the script.
Oh, gotcha. But they have to communicate with each other to make sure it all makes sense.
Well, then people babysit the process and add, and we kind of chime in on. So if you're assigned a script, there's still ideas, there's still scenes that can be added to the script. It's kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. Things are taken away and added. There's scenes that are too heavy that we don't know. I mean, we have to talk ourselves out of sometimes.
Right. I mean, I just finished season 2 last night in a binge, and but there
Do you want your money back?
I
usually carry singles with me for this very reason.
No, I think you have some in your breast pocket. I remember. Yeah.
I thought I did too. What happened to my money,
I don't know.
Andrew? There's a thief in here. Oh, I got it, guys.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. Great. Well, okay. What was I going to say? Oh, there's a scene
Cut to
towards
the piano
end
cam.
of season 1 where you find out that your mom sent your wife home. Mm-hmm. And it's when you're on this kind of adventure with, what's the rodeo guy? He wants to go kill somebody.
Oh, Ernie.
Ernie, yeah.
Eddie or Ernie?
Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie.
Yeah, anyway.
It's Ernie's the actor's name. It's
when
confusing.
When you find out, she tells you that your mother kind of betrayed you in some ways, and you're back in the car and you're like staring out the window, and you're just completely desolate, and it's pretty extraordinary, like completely believable moment. I don't know. I just think it's a really great show.
There's if I remember correctly, is Martha in that scene? Yeah, because the thing is, I thought that scene was too serious, so we needed them to. I think they're talking about something pretty strange. I can't remember, about a Shoney's or a Denny's. So you wanted to kind of slide that in there a little bit, so you're not just hitting the audience with, God, what a super bummer.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a little bit light, so you kind of, I don't know. I like the mixing of this guy's going through this thing, all because you see that in real life. People don't realize what's going on sometimes. You see people having conversations where it's completely opposite of what's happening a foot away from them, and I think you don't see that a lot. So
no, there's moments like that you miss because you're wrapped up in the drama of it. And then there's another scene where Louis Anderson, your mother, goes to get you out of jail. Yeah. And you're explaining why you got put in jail. Yeah. And you say, trespassing, general mischief. And she goes, mischief? And then there's this line you say, I don't know, Mom. I guess it's because I'm a millennial. She says, what does that even mean? And you said, I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't know what it means. I mean,
of course you're not a millennial.
I know I'm not one, but it's just like, well, everybody just wants to label people. It's like our human beings are more complex than just being millennials to me. I was making fun of that a little bit, but also that I'm 47, and totally doesn't to admit that he doesn't know what it is, but it sounds kind of cool, I guess. But there was a joke, I think, in that scene that we cut out. They weren't. They were supposed to put it back in, actually. Now that I think about it, but where she accuses me of being on drugs, and I admit that the only time, because I don't think that Chip takes drugs. The only time that he had overdosed on melatonin. But it was too goofy, I think, in the scene, and I think the editors didn't think it was funny as I did. So, anyway, yeah, it shows a weird balance.
Yeah,
it's sometimes it's off balance.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny the total serendipity that I thought, what could I play with Zach? Because you know, at first I just thought you played the Black Keys. And then you said...
Just the Black Keys, yeah.
You said, I don't mean to brag, but I can actually play the White Keys, too.
I can't play either shade, but I can fake sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking, what song can I do with Zach that he could play on and not really know? And I thought, I could do Lull, because it's only got like 3 notes in it and 2 chords.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, so I'm just watering things down for you.
Yeah, that's it. But I forgot what they were again.
It's D, F
D.
sharp. F sharp. But then you reminded me that you wrote to me a while back and said this was your favorite song.
It's my favorite song of yours, and I can't believe that we're doing it, and I'm going to screw it up, even though it's only...
No, you're not. It's going to be great.
So wait. This is the song I've been wanting to ask you questions about. Are you going to sing it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll.
Do you want to ask
there's
me now?
There's a great thing. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's about not expectations. No. I'll think. Anyway, let's just go.
Yeah, we'll do
and
it,
then
and we'll
I'll
talk
ask
about
after.
it. Okay.
Wait, I've already screwed it up.
It's
Oh yeah.
I'll make the loop first, and you just hang it back for a second. Quite romantic, like Jacques Cousteau underneath the Atlantic. A fantastic voyage, 2 parts unknown, going to depths where the sun's never shone. And I fascinate myself when I'm alone. I go a little overboard, but hang on to the hull while I'm airbrushing fantasy out on a life that's really kinda dull. Oh, I'm in a lull. Oh, I'm in a lull. Oh, I'm all for moderation, but sometimes it seems moderation itself is a kind of extreme. So I joined the congregation, I joined the softball team, and I went in for my confirmation where incense looks like steam. I start conjugating proverbs where once there were nouns. This whole damn rhyme scheme's really starting to get me down. tea and I think I'm so lame. I think this song's about me. Don't I, don't I, don't I? I think I'm in a love. Nicely done.
I screwed it up about 17 times. Was it more than that? I don't have the rhythm, but it is. Plus, I'm nervous. It's
all right.
I forgot this was live, and then in the middle of it, I'm like, oh, this is live. I've never done this before. I've never jammed out with like a really great musician, you know. So it's, you know, it does it. I shouldn't be here, so.
No.
Yeah. That's what all the people. I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah, I'm not gonna read the messages.
It's a bunch of hearts just going like this.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
I'm pretty sure, right? Okay. Is there something you wanted to ask me about that?
Yeah, moderation.
I'm all for moderation, but sometimes it seems moderation itself is a kind of extreme.
Yeah. Okay, so how does that come? Like, how does that come to you? Do you remember how that came to? Because that's such a good line.
I mean, I remember what apartment I was living in Chicago when I wrote it. So that takes me back. It's like 2000. That's like 17 years ago.
But was there an experience that made you think that, or was it the alliteration and the semantics of it?
No, that was definitely expressing something. I was just thinking about shifting, everything being relative, things. Your perception of things shifting according to your environment, you know?
Right.
But that was the first song where I, in another verse, included my own doubts about the song in the song itself. Mm-hmm. Where I'm rambling on rather self-consciously, stirring these condiments into my tea. And I did something that was like, this is just going to hold the place for a minute. This is not like for real. What else is?
Yeah, the tea line, yeah.
It's in my tea, and I think I'm so lame. I bet I think this song is about me. Don't I? Like,
do you have
taking that Carole King thing and
right
scrambling the pronouns around? And I thought that's so dorky.
No, it's not.
And then I was like, well,
but I like the song "Funky Cold Medina."
It's honest. I am kind of a dork, so
right.
Or at least at this moment I am. So
Do you have to get permission for that? No, it's changed enough, right? Like,
Let's not talk about it.
yeah.
But then that was the first time I was like, I don't know if this relates to comedy anyway, but where you, like, why would I exclude that sort of digression, that sort of absurd thought from the rest of the thoughts in the song, you know? Just where you're like, this is the most embarrassing thing I could put in the song.
Right.
And
So you're stepping out of the song to comment on the song?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a comedian, and you know Andy Kindler? Do you know that guy? That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Is he does his jokes, and he takes apart his own material and even how he's holding the microphone.
Right.
And it's really, really funny. So yeah.
He's one of the guys that does that super logic humor, you know, where it's like he breaks down something that we all understand, but then just the fact that he has to say it. Like Armisen did something the other night where he was explained the whole gaffe at the Oscars with Warren Beatty, and just explained it very matter-of-factly.
Yeah.
And
No.
that was it.
No.
He just explained it.
No,
like, this
Fred.
happened.
No, Fred. I think Fred's the only one that does it like that. I
Yeah.
don't know anybody else that just goes out and basically says a little bit. It's shifted a little bit somehow. That's hard for me to explain.
Right.
He did it. Yeah, I saw him do it at Largo the other night. He was just being political, but he wasn't making a point at all.
Right.
He was just rambling. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But Andy's this guy that just kind of dissects everything, not only about his own stand-up, but in comedy in general, and why things aren't funny, and why it's just heavily, what do you call it when it's inside? It's kind of an inside,
Myopic or like turning the camera on himself. Yeah.
Well, on the whole,
Yeah.
especially on Hollywood too, it's really funny about the whole thing about Hollywood. So, but yeah, you should watch him do stand-up.
Andy Kendall.
Yeah, I think that's what he wanted me to say on this. He didn't do that.
Well, thanks. I really enjoyed this.
Oh God,
And,
this is so fun. I mean, I did 3 keys with Andrew Bird. It was really fun.
I mean, hats off to you. It's
You can come on stage and do one of my jokes.
okay. Fair enough.
You can bring
Fair
your
enough.
fiddle.
Can I do the bloody stool? Oh no.
Yeah, that's an old good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
to do the old bloody stool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna leave on that.
Let's go out on some gorgeous music. Just gorgeous.
Okay.
Black keys. You want to try the white keys?
What did we start with black keys?
We
earlier?
did, but let's try something on white keys.
Okay, here we go.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, I told you that's all I can only do sad. I mean,
That's okay with me. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thanks,
Zach.
Andrew. Bye, Facebook. The old handshake?
Yeah.